Hello there. Turned it aside. My name is Aslian. Today I'm going to be talking about how I built my Nilou. She is level 80 with 55,354 HP, 1,079 attack, 890 defense, 251 EM, 19 over 64 crit damage, 183 ER, and that is all for her stats. Now, weapon-wise, I have her on the Skyward Blade. I personally, it's mostly just the ER. I like putting, so weapon-wise, main stats-wise, I'd say you want her on HP. There's like two swords, I think, that have an HP main stat. I could be wrong, but there aren't many, and as far as I know, only 5-star signature weapons have HP. Hers and Farina's, and then maybe some other people's, but that's all I know that has HP. So I put her on HP EM, which is also restricted to signatures, except for Iron Sting and the Skyward, no, Skyward Rider, Skyrider Sword. Also, it's this one, Dark Iron Sword, are both restrained to signatures, HP and EM. EM has a couple of options. I don't know of any that have an HP main stat, so I typically put her on an ER sword because I find it works very well, and then she can give some more energy regeneration to the team. Mostly it's the energy regeneration for the team if her teammates need more ER. Anyway, so I have her on the Skyward Blade is the one I run her on. You could also put her on the Sapwood Blade. If I recall correctly, this is a craftable sword from Sumeru. It has ER as its main stat as well, but in its abilities, description, whatever we call this. When you trigger Bloom, it'll create a leaf, which will give additional EM, which is nice. You could also put her on the Favonius Sword. Again, that's just an ER thing. Crit hits do give additional energy. You could put her on the Iron Sting, which is the one of the Elemental Mastery swords we have. You could put her on the Fluve Sendra Fairman, which is a fishable. I don't think this is craftable. I think you get this one from fishing. Fishable sword with ER, an elemental skill, and then it gives a more crit to your elemental skill. That's not the most useful for Nilou, but it's not bad. And it additionally increases energy recharge by more after using your elemental skill, which isn't bad either. And then, of course, as I said earlier, the Skyrider sword with ER and then elemental burst grants additional stuff, but mostly the Dark Iron sword with the additional elemental mastery. You could do it. Any of them, I would say works. I'd say I personally like focusing on the inner ER. That way the rest of her team can, well, have more ER and have their own stuff. This one has a little bit of an energy issue. The only one with an energy issue. The rest of them are fine. Well, mostly these two, I don't need their alts. This one supplies himself pretty well, and this one's his bar is always half full. Anyway, artifact-wise, I don't think her sets are that important. I personally would put her on like a two-piece HP, or two-piece EM, or two-piece HP, two-piece EM sets. Or you could put her on like four-piece tenacity to give an additional attack bonus to party members. Also shield bonus. I don't know if you're running her with a shielder. Or you could put her on, let's see if I can find it. I missed it. There, Flower of Paradise Lost, which will increase bloom damage. And additionally, trigger bloom. They will grant another 25% bonus for the parts mentioned prior. It just increases the bloom damage by a lot if you want to put it on a 4-piece of that. I personally have her on two-piece that gives her HP. Main stat-wise, I would do HP or EM down the whole line. I don't think she really needs anything else. EM for more bloom damage, and then HP because, well, it increases her bloom damage. It's the damage that the bountiful cores that she creates the damage that they do when they explode, right? Yeah. So it'll basically increase her bloom damage. Because if you create bountiful cores off of this one, third dance step, golden chalice effect allows bountiful cores to be created, which is what allows this to take effect, which is why you want to give her a whole lot of HP. Now, talent-wise, I would say start with her E. Well, first level her up so you gain this talent. Or both of them. It might be different levels, you get both of them. You want both of these talents. They're pretty important. Those you hit by levels. I'd say level up her E and then her alt, and I honestly, I don't know why she has a level 5 base attack. She really doesn't need her base attack levels. I don't recall ever wanting to try to run her as a DPS, so I don't know why her base attack is leveled. You don't need to level her base attack. Con-wise, I have her as a C1, courtesy of the event, where if you have characters and you play the game, you can get their cons. Very nice. I really like it. Her C1 increases her luminous illusion damage, which is her E damage. If you don't complete her dance by doing all 3 steps, and you instead use her base attack, she will shoot water strip things, which that's the luminous illusion. That damage is increased by 65%. This is the big one, is Tranquility Aura, which is her ring. The duration of that is extended by 6 seconds. I always had a problem with her ring not lasting long enough, and it was only by like 2 seconds that I did wanted to last. I was like, if you just left it just a little longer. It's a whole 6 seconds additional that I got off this con, and it's so good. I love it. Anyway, her C2 decreases the resistance of Hydro or Dendro, depending on if you do Hydro damage or Bloom or Lunar Bloom damage by 35% for 10 seconds. So you do Hydro damage, Hydro resistance gets decreased by 35% for 10 seconds. You do Bloom or Lunar Bloom, Dendro damage gets reduced by 35. Dendro resistance gets reduced by 35 for 10 seconds. There you go. Her C3 is her level of her ultimate goes up. Her C4 is upon completing all 3 dance steps. Nilou will gain, well, she has to hit an opponent while completing all 3 dance steps. Nilou will gain 15 elemental energy, and her ultimate damage will be increased by 50% for 8 seconds. So use her 3 dance steps and her ult quickly if you have C4. I don't know how many people have C4 Nilou. I like Nilou. I just don't know how many people would like her enough to C4 her. She's a good character for blue. Anyway, her C5 increases her ease level, and her C6 is for every 1,000 points of max HP she has. Her crit rate is increased by 0.6, and her crit damage increased by 1.2. She can get a maximum increase of crit rate, a maximum 30% increase of crit rate, and a maximum 60% increase of crit damage this way, which is really, really nice. She can basically, as long as you have her HP high enough, I didn't do the mathematical calculations for how high her HP needs to be, but as long as you have her HP high enough, she'll get an additional 30 crit rate and 68 crit damage, which is honestly really awesome. Anyway, team-wise, she is best run in a Bloom team. And also, let's look at her details, because I forgot to pull it up. In this one, it's up here. This doesn't trigger unless all the characters in her party are Dendro or Hydro. And this is the long reedy one, but this is the really important one that helps buff a lot of the damage. So run her only with Hydro or Dendro characters. Besides that, probably run her with a Bloom DPS. Like, it's what? Kave, Llama. I think Llama's also a support. If I had Llama, I'd probably be kicking Mahina and putting Llama in. Yeah, that's most likely. And then feasibly, if I needed to heal, I'd pick Juncho out and put in Kuko me. But that's only if I ever get Llama. If I ever get Llama, my Kave's damage is going to go up so much. That's going to be so nice. At least it should. I need to see exactly what Llama does. I've heard she's a Bloom support. And that's about it. And I think Nefer does Bloom damage as well. So Nilou's a really good support. For any team that you want to run that has Bloom, well, not a Hyper Bloom team. She messes up Hyper Bloom teams. You want to run her in a Bloom team. You can run her in other teams. I think her Hydra application is really good. She makes a ring that applies Hydra to the enemies around you, I think, pretty consistently. Uh, I will say if you don't have her C1, which I just got like 4 days ago, her ring duration may be too short, and feasibly Jincho is just the better option for your Hydro application. Or Barbara. I personally don't care too much for Barbara in... Because what are our Hydro characters? Well, what are my Hydro characters? uh, there's no, like, Nilou isn't, like, your best option, but if you have Nilou, she's not a bad option for Hydro application. She is best used in Bloom teams, though. That is what she is built for, a Bloom team. Anyway, let's go ahead and see how well they do against Trial. We'll start with Nikita. Ultimate E. Okay, we didn't get the second thing off. We'll use her 3 E's to get the water wheel. Use that. Use his ult. Which, I don't know if you can see it because a lot's going on, but if you look at the Dendro cores, as they form, they're bountiful cores, so they actually look slightly different. He's out of his ult. We'll see if he actually regenerates his ult in time for... We'll see if he gets to use his ult twice. Alright, we'll go ahead and run her through her cycle. We'll go ahead and use his thing. We'll go ahead and have her apply her E. Alright, use the ult. Maybe I should have swapped to Kaveh so he would have gotten more energy. Because as you can see, Kaveh doesn't have full energy here. And there we go. He barely has full energy, and I really didn't need to use his burst for that. Anyway, that's all for how I built Nilou. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it helpful in how you maybe want to build your Nilou. Again, I find she's a really good character, especially if you're looking to build a Bloom damage team. She's amazing for that. But I think her Hydra application isn't that bad, and I like that it follows you around really easily. And because, what, with her... I think it's like a whole 16 or so seconds with the C1. Because what? Tranquility or 12 seconds already. So that's 18 seconds it follows you around if you have her C1 and 12 seconds if you don't. I find it's not the best if you don't have her C1. I find it lasts just a little bit too short. But you can make your call on how you want to do it. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. And may you have a blessed rest of your day.